Okay, today's channeling question is, how are health and spirituality related? You may have noticed, I certainly have, I don't have data on this, but there seems to be a correlation between physical well-being and how awakened someone seems to be. When you encounter people that are awakened, they seem to be people who are switched on, however you want to call it, spiritual, but not spiritual in the way that they sort of call themselves spiritual, but you can just tell, you get the feeling from them, they're quite awake, they're quite aware, they have quite a depth of understanding of self and so on. They're wise. Quite often these type of people, they have a healthy body as well. They're slim, they have good complexion, they appear to be younger than they are. I've seen this enough that I would say that there is some correlation between health and spirituality. But again, I don't have data, this is just my observation. But it feels right. It does, doesn't it? It feels right that that would be the case. So, what is the relationship? How does one play on to the other, this health and spirituality? So, I'm going to do a channel on that today and see if we can get some information which will help us to be more spiritual and to be healthier. So let's see what we got. Let's have a sip. Okay. Greetings and thank you for the question. How are health and spirituality related? Let's begin by defining spirituality, because it is used in different ways by different people. So this is how we will define it in the context of this channeling session. The spirit, as such, we are going to call, for the purpose of this channel, the higher self, the eternal energetic that you are, the individuation of the love of the one, the eternal, immortal, invulnerable being. The true essence of who you are. This is what we would call your spirit. Although in the context of all the channels that we have done with you so far, we have never referred to it as your spirit. We always refer to it as the higher self. So, to be more spiritual, using this definition, means to become more realized of your higher self. To become more awakened that you are the infinite energetic, the individuation of the love of the one, and thereby becoming less identified with the illusory, temporary formation known as the mind, the body, the personality. It is an increasing realization that you are not these, because you are in fact the eternal being that has existed before this life began, continues to exist now, although you are in a state of forgetfulness and going through the process of remembering, and shall exist once this brief and temporary life has concluded. This is who you truly are. And so spirituality is a reflection of the awareness of this. It is the degree to which you have awoken in remembrance that you are in fact the higher self, having a temporary physical experience. So now that that definition is established, let's have a closer look at what is the relationship between health and spirituality. Your body is very much a temple. You are not contained within the body. In fact, the body is contained within you. The life that you live and this vehicle are occurring within the one dream. And that one dream is the manifestation of the higher self. So the life you live is occurring in the dream, as are you, as you perceive yourself to be the finite limited being, occurring in the dream. So you and the dream are the one thing, the one dream. So you are your life. You are not separate from your life. You are not living the life. You are the life. It is all you. And you, as a presence in this life that you project, this is not originating from this vehicle, the spark, the power, which is in the vehicle, such that the vehicle has the identity, the individuality, the presence, is not originating from inside the vehicle, but is instead originating from the true essence of who you are, the true you, the higher self. So in a sense, you are channeling yourself. You are downloading yourself and real-time streaming into the moment. So it is a organic antenna. This apparatus is receiving the signal. It is the place where you have the divine inspiration of the higher self. It is the temple where you, the flesh device, commune with the true you, with the higher self. So it is very accurate to call this device the temple, because it is the holy place where you receive the inspiration of the higher self, because you are the higher self. And as you become more awakened to the realization that you are the higher self, you have a diminishment of identity in the mind, the body, the personality, until eventually this is recognized as being an apparatus, as a collection of assets, as a tool which you use to integrate into the physical experience such that you can go through the process of realizing that you are the higher self while you are in the physical experience. And when you realize you are the higher self, that is the true you, then there is no identity. When you have become fully awakened, there is no more identity in the vehicle. You are not the mind, you are not the body, you are not the personality. And so then this device has been relegated to an apparatus, a collection of assets, a tool. And we would say, using this terminology of spirituality, that this is the fully spiritual state, the pinnacle of spirituality, to have this complete realization. So if you are receiving this divine inspiration of the higher self into the device, for you to be fully awakened, to be fully completed in a spiritual sense, again referring back to this commonly used term spirituality, then this requires a complete relinquishment of identity in this, to be fully, completely realized and awakened that you are the higher self energetic and you are wearing this device like the operator, the presence behind the goggles of the virtual reality, or like the occupant within the Iron Man suit. You are not the Iron Man suit. You are not the onboard AI, meaning the mind. You are the presence, which is the focal point, the operator. And so for you to come to this realization through the relinquishment of identity in the device, then clearly the easier it is to relinquish identity with the device, then the easier it is to go through this process of awakening. So can you see? If you have a device which is of optimal health, then one, you have the optimal operation of the organic antenna. It is harmonized with the higher self energetic, and you can receive the signal of self, the download, the higher self inspiration with greater accuracy, with a stronger signal of transmission. Also, there is, in this state of optimal health, nothing pulling you into mind arising from malady of the body, ailment in the body, pains in the body. Can you see? If you are going to be a being that is fully awakened, the pinnacle of spirituality, which is to have relinquished all definition of self in the apparatus, the mind, the body, the personality, then this is going to be most easily done when there is minimal distraction. There is less cause for this vehicle to pull you into the identity of the vehicle. So if you have a body which is very healthy, and so you have no issues, you have no pains, you have no malady at all, then this is a clarified state where there is a propensity for peace, because the body itself is a reflection, a physicalized reflection of peace. However, if your body has health issues, if moving is painful, if even relaxing and sitting causes upset in your physical sensations, for example, you have pains coming from your organs, or you have pains coming from your joints, or there is discomfort in moving, then this is a distraction. This is going to pull you out of the state of detachment from identity in the apparatus into identity with apparatus. Because you will have the experience that, oh, my knee hurts, oh, my intestines hurt, oh, my neck hurts, oh, my head hurts. And this mechanism is essential for the preservation of the body that you have been given, you have given to yourself. You have manifested the body for yourself to use in the physical experience. And so it's essential that if you're going to maintain the condition that you are receiving feedback from the device. So these pains are essential for you to preserve the device, that you get the feedback that there is something wrong, such that you can take measures to right it. However, if you are experiencing these pains and upsetness and dis-ease in the body because of neglect, because of poor management and not giving the temple the respect that it deserves, then you are disadvantaging yourself. You are behaving in a way which is counter to you becoming a more realized being, to becoming more spiritual. It is an impediment to your spirituality if you are continuously drawn back into the identity that you are the body because of pains that are resulting from your neglect. So, if you wish to be a being which is awakening, which is increasingly becoming more spiritual, then it is to your great benefit that you treat your body in a way which is going to create the best health for optimal operation. So the way that you eat, the way that you sleep, the amount of exercise, the mobility of your joints, the length of your muscles, and so on and so on. All of these should be considerations if you wish to become a more awakened being, more aware and self-realized that you are in fact the higher self, having the physical experience. So the paradox is, to become more realized that you are not the body, it is a requirement that you become more focused on maintaining the optimal operation of the body. To become a more non-physical being, then it is going to be much easier if you are giving adequate attention and nurturing of the physical, such that it can become a device which does not require your attention for reasons which do not contribute to your letting go of identity in the device. So use this as a motivation to live more cleanly, to begin to educate yourself, if you have not already, how to maintain the vehicle in a way which releases you so that you can become less invested in the identity in the vehicle, and you can allow yourself to detach and become more self-realized as the higher self, having the physical experience. Because the body has released you. It is setting you free. Because it is clarified. It is healthy. It is self-maintaining in every moment. Because you are giving it the attention it requires to be in this state of optimal operation. If you have the discipline to do this, to treat your body in a way which signifies that you respect it as the temple. It is the place of holy communion with the higher self. It is the organic antenna where you receive the inspiration of the higher self, the divine download. So you can be authentically the higher self in your presence. When you understand this is what the body is, then it becomes much easier to treat the body as the temple, to love and care for the temple. Because it is a gift. It is the divine blessing that you are manifesting from the higher self. It is the gift to yourself, so that this divine communion is possible, and you can, with the greatest ease, have the divine purpose fulfilled as you become awakened in physical experience. And when this is your attitude, what shall happen is your greater propensity to be authentic as you become more self-realized and disassociate from identity in the conduit. Then you will have less internal eddies in your energy field. Because as you become more self-realized and you become more able to be instantaneously present in the moment as your authentic self. Because as you download the higher self, the way that you have been designed is for you to emanate instantaneously into the moment. So there is no diversion of the download into the mind for curation. And instead, you become a spontaneous being, where the lead, the ultimate authority, is the higher self, and the mind is servant, subjugated to the higher self. And as a subjugated intelligence, it does not have the ultimate authority over who you are and what you say and how you be in the moment. So this diminishment of the mind and subjugation to the rightful place as servant to the higher self allows you to download, stream into the moment and emanate spontaneously, instantaneously as presence. This is authenticity. This is self-mastery. This is what occurs as you become more and more realized as the higher self. And with the decreasing identity in the vehicle, then you don't need to divert the download feed to the mind such that you can curate it. Don't say this, don't say that. Stop moving this way. How do you look? Sit up straight. This type of curation, where the mind thinks that it knows better than the infinite higher self. This is a misconceptualization of self. And when there is this propensity for the mind to be dominant and for you to not be authentic, so that you are always diverting the stream to the mind because you believe that you are the mind, and the mind therefore is the ultimate authority, and so it must have access to your way of being, to contort it in a way which it thinks removes the vulnerability. It makes you more capable to integrate into the moment. But of course, this is illusory. It's a misunderstanding of self. The opposite is true. It is when you are spontaneous that you are more capable to be integrated and perfectly calibrated to every moment. And as you increasingly become more mindful, and by more mindful we mean that you become overthinking, over-analytical, processing everything that you're going to do before you do it instead of being spontaneous, that this is a decrease in authenticity, and it diminishes your capacity to be calibrated perfectly for every moment. And so this false belief of self, that you are the mind, creates an opaqueness, creates layers of belief. And these layers of false belief give rise to erroneous thoughts, which give rise to emotionality, which is destructive, and then you create a manifestation which is reflective of this destructive emotionality. And that will be sometimes a diminishment of your health, ailments. You will develop problems within the device which are reflecting back to you this illusory self-conceptualization, this belief that you are the vehicle, that you are the mind. So when you are able to be more spiritual or more awakened to the higher self, partly because you have treated the body as the temple, so it is not drawing you into identity with the body because of its ailments, because of its aches and pains, then you will be more authentic. You will have less of this processing, because when you are download streaming into the moment, your body is not calling you into it as identity, because it is not saying aches, pains, discomfort, dis-ease. And so this means there is a reduction in opaqueness, there is increase in translucency, and you are more able to be spontaneously emanating into the moment as authentic presence, as a greater representation of the true being that you are, the higher self. And this will create a cascade, a loop, where your greater authenticity, because there is less distraction into the body, because the body is optimal through you treating it as the temple, means that this greater state of authenticity is going to give rise to more accurate thoughts about self, a more accurate conceptualization of self, which will give rise to emotions which are more positive, more constructive, rather than destructive. And then this manifestation coming from this constructive emotionality, which can be traced back to your greater authenticity, which has been enhanced by the purity of your body through you treating it as a temple, will increase the health of the body. It will create greater clarity within the body, greater health within the body. And this greater clarity, greater health will create more of a scenario of harmonious peace in the temple. And this increased harmonious peace within the temple will increase your capacity to be authentically present in the body, to be more realized as the higher self. And this greater realization of higher self is again going to give rise to thoughts which are more accurately reflective of who you truly are. Thoughts which arise when the mind is servant to the higher self, subjugated to the higher self, so it is fulfilling its intended function, which is to facilitate the desires of the higher self. And this will give rise to increasingly more elevated emotionality, greater love, greater positivity, greater joy, happiness, peace, gratitude. And then this will be the foundation, the geometry on which your reality is manifest, and so the reflection to you will be, among the many positive gifts and blessings, greater health, greater clarity in the vehicle, greater optimal functioning. And this will make it more possible for you to be, again, increasingly realized as the higher self in the physical experience. And on and on and on and on, this feedback loop, this upward spiral to greater realization, to greater health, to greater realization, to greater health, to greater realization, continues and continues and continues. So there is a close relationship between health and spirituality. We shall not conclude there, however, because it is pertinent to comment also on those who are living in a body which is difficult, because there are conditions within the body. There is a breakdown of the health which draws you into identification with the body. However, you have a very sincere desire to become more awakened, to become more self-realized, to fulfill the divine purpose, which is to awaken. While having an optimal body makes it easier to have the internal peace which is conducive to letting go of your identity with the body. It is, however, not essential. It is still very available to you, this disidentification with the body and the greater awakening into the realization that you are the higher self energetic, existing outside of the body, downloading into the body through the temple. This interface where there is the divine inspiration of your higher self, empowering this device. If you are in a body which gives you ailment, then this is your manifestation. We understand this is difficult to hear, but it is the reality and always is the reality, because it cannot be any other way. You cannot live a life that you have not manifested. It is not possible. You cannot be in a body that you did not choose. It is not possible. So, if you are in a body which is not optimal, which causes you pains and dis-ease, then this is the scenario which is most conducive to you awakening and becoming more realized as the higher self. It cannot be any other way. This is perfect for you because there is nothing but perfection. So, make it your objective to release the suffering. Because it is not the ailment, it is not the pain, it is not the malady which causes the difficulty. It is the suffering. And the suffering is a choice. It is your judgment that what is occurring is negative. However, your center is wherever you wish it to be. You are an infinite being, and as such, there is no place within self which is equidistant from all other places. There is no place which you could say is a geographical center where there is an equal distance to your border in every direction, because you are an infinite being. There is no center, or it could be said that anywhere is the center, because everywhere is equidistant from infinity. So, your center does not have to be over the body. It does not have to be the focal point of who you are, because you are the infinite being. So, move your center out of the body. Realize that the body is temporary, and it is occurring within who you truly are. Instead of placing your center within the body, place your body within the center. And then place your center wherever you wish it to be. So if you wish to be centered over love and its derivatives, over gratitude, peace, happiness, joy, bliss, and of course love, then choose this as your center. Choose to be energetically in this place. Release the suffering. Disidentify with the body. Realize that the body is not you. It's just a temporary vehicle. And in the true essence of who you are, dreaming this life, this body, you are invulnerable. You cannot be touched by what is occurring in the body. The pain in the body is not a true pain in you. The true essence of who you are cannot be touched. It is the dream. Just as you wake after a night's rest from a bad dream, and you have the sigh of relief in the recognition that what has occurred in the dream wasn't real. It cannot touch me. I'm not harmed by this. Such is the case for what is occurring now in your life. So even though you are possibly in a state of discomfort, of pain, the pain is not occurring within the true essence of who you are. The pain is just a physical sensation. And so rather than being centered over the body, where the focal point is your suffering, shift your center, expand your center, so that your center is beyond the borders of the limited being you see in the mirror, but is instead in the field of love and its derivatives. And then place the body in your center. Place it in your love, in your gratitude, your happiness, joy, bliss, peace. And then from this locus, from this position, it becomes easier to have a separation where you are the being centered in love and its derivatives, and the body and its pains are just illusory, temporary vehicle giving you physical sensations, giving you information. But it is not you. You are not the body, and therefore you are not the pain. And this, if practiced, can be used to create demarcation in self, this separation, this relinquishment of identity in the vehicle. And so you become more realized as the higher self. And while this is more challenging, and we recognize this is more challenging, contained within it is a greater potential to awaken than there is for the individual that is in the temple of optimal health, of greater organic clarity. Because it is suffering which is the catalyst for awakening. It is suffering which forces you to find peace by relinquishing the identity with the illusory form, and thereby releasing the suffering. Although the physical conditions may not change, the suffering has been put to sleep, because you are no longer resisting what is so. You are no longer fighting against it, wishing that it wasn't as it is. You have transitioned into a state of acceptance. And in this state of acceptance, where you have defined self as the infinite, invulnerable being centered over love and its derivatives, and the body is a temporary asset which is not you, and the pain is there, and so you have chosen to use it as a tool to let go of the suffering, to discontinue your resistance to what is. And the irony is, when you become more separated, when you become more in a state of accepting this is how it is, and less resistant, then this is when your physicality becomes less dense. It becomes more fluid, more plasticized, meaning that it is now with a greater ease that it can heal, that the energetic disturbance which is manifesting the ailment can dissipate through an internal peace and increasing silence that inevitably occurs when the turbulence of resistance, known as also suffering, is released. So, respect your body. In a sense, worship at the temple. But it is not the temple that you worship. It is the divine communion with the higher self. Receive the download stream of your true essence in a vehicle which honours who you truly are. And the honour which you have invested into the vehicle is to maintain it with love and care such that it functions optimally and with the greatest ease that you can muster, allowing the higher self and by proxy the love of the one, the ultimate, to become realized in the physical experience. Love yourself, love your body, and treat it with the loving care it deserves.